Okay, I'm making a more formal video on the carjacking here and how I introduce the carjacking, really how a lot of people do and how a lot of people should. So here you're looking at an actual carjacking scenario. It's the PDC, which is a very, very high pressure scenario. And this is how I want to introduce it, if at all possible. This dog is seeing carjacking. This is our very first training session. Now, I'm using a little bit of the juggle rocks here, but I'm not going high speed. Plus, it's not the first time I'm introducing the juggle rocks in the car. I've introduced the juggle rocks outside of the vehicle first. That's how I want to introduce it. I don't want anything new to happen when I do carjacking for the first time. Another thing you're noticing here is I'm also using a tug versus a hidden sleeve. The scenario is done with the hidden sleeve. Also, pay attention to the fact that I'm not doing this in defense mode. I'm actually doing very prey-oriented. There's a lot of submissive posture on my part. I'm using the juggle rocks mostly to agitate. And again, I'm making this very, very fun, very playful. Every time you introduce something new to a dog, in regards to Bitework, or really anything training wise, you want the original introduction to be fun. So in Bitework, the best way to make anything fun is through prey drive, which is more of a chase response versus defense. Now the carjacking scenario is normally a defensive scenario. So in the trial, it's the one scenario where the dog is not running towards the decoy. He's just waiting there. So this dog is very young. At this time, she is maybe just about a year old, maybe even, maybe just about a year old. And the whole thing is just fun. Here I have another dog right about the same age when I introduced this to. And same thing, very, very prey-oriented. This is her first time also during carjacking. So very first time for the dog, very first time for the handler as well. And my approach to this dog is pretty much the same. It's pretty identical. I'm very, very prey-oriented. I'm running back and forth. I'm teasing the dog. I'm petting the dog. This just has to be fun. I'm not going to go full throttle. Like I've seen some dogs be introduced to carjacking is they get introduced by going full throttle. Which that's certainly one approach you can take, I suppose. But then you're going to have some dogs that are maybe not going to excel if you start that way. And then people will say, well, then that's not the right dog. But in any case, that's not the purpose of the video. It's just to show you how I introduce carjacking with my club's dogs, my members' dogs. And I want every dog that I work with to have a good experience. Especially if they do PSA. PSA is a very difficult sport on the dog. There's a lot of pressure on the dog. So if you don't have the right dog, you're certainly not going to excel. But if you have the right dog, there's a lot of potential. But I don't want what they're going to see in training to be, I don't want it to be intimidating. They're already going to see that at some, they're already going to see some elements of that in the trial. And what I want to do during training is I want them to have fun in the introduction phase. And then as we progress, then I'll start challenging them and preparing them for trial. But as you can see here, this is brand new introduction, so I'm just using the rocks again to agitate, not to intimidate. Which on the trial, another clip here, this is the level 1, so there's no juggle rocks in the level 1. There's 2 gunshots, which can be very freaking loud. And I'm just doing a quick intro with my dog, which how you feel about doing bite work with your own dog, that's different. There's two schools of thought on that. I made a video on that, whether you should do bite work with your own dog or not. I know sometimes you just can't, and sometimes you have to, sometimes you don't. Different schools of thought. If you like the video, please make sure you like and subscribe.